This is Mr. T. You're watching a film freestyle lesson. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to create a new project in Adobe Premiere. Whether you're working on a Mac or a PC, Adobe Premiere is pretty much the same. The first thing you need to do is open up Adobe Premiere. Look for the big purple icon with the PR on it. Premiere is what's known as a non-linear editing system. That means you can edit your films in any order that you want. You don't have to start on the very first scene of your movie and work your way towards the end. You can start at the end or somewhere in the middle. It's also non-destructive, which means you can make as many changes to your edits as you want. So I'm going to click on New Project, and this is the box that comes up. The first thing you need to do is give your project a name. Choose something that makes sense, that's descriptive of the work that you're doing, and that you or people that you're working with will be able to find if you need to look for it later. Here is the location. So this is where your project is saved. So I'm going to browse to where I want my project to be saved. For you, that's probably going to be on the server, on the Evo server, and you're going to find whichever folder share your media is stored in. For me, I'm in Spielberg, and I'm going to find my folder. There it is, and I'm going to double click that, and that's where I'm going to save this particular project file. So there it is. The next thing you see are these three tabs right here. You'll see a General tab, a Scratch Disks tab, and an Ingest Settings tab. We're going to start with this General tab. The first thing here is the video rendering and playback, and you can choose the renderer here. Now, under the renderer here, you have several options. You have GPU acceleration with CUDA, GPU acceleration with OpenCL, and so on and so forth. GPU acceleration means that the software is going to utilize the graphics card, a piece of hardware inside your computer, to help create and render the work that you're doing. This results in much faster performance than if the software was only using the computer's processor by itself. Depending on what kind of hardware you have in your computer, GPU acceleration can greatly increase the amount of speed and performance that you encounter as you're video editing. If you have an option to choose the CUDA option, I suggest that you use it. If you're in the film room, for example, that is going to be an option. Some of the other rooms at Freestyle may not have that as an option, and some computers of your own may not have that option. If you don't have the CUDA option, I suggest you use the OpenCL option. The speeds that you're going to get are pretty similar. That should be an option for most of the computers here at Freestyle and many of the computers that you are using from your own home. If you don't have either of these options, then you're going to be stuck with software only, which means your editing is going to be a little bit slower than it would be if you had one of these options. Don't worry about this metal option. That's not one that you want to use right now. So stick with one of these CUDA or OpenCL options. The next thing that you see here is the video display format. I can choose timecode or frames. I'm going to stick with timecode, that's fine. And then I'm going to click over here to my Scratch Disks. Scratch Disks are another way that you can greatly increase the speed and performance of your video editing. It's kind of like if a whole bunch of people were lifting a really big piece of furniture. The more hands that you have, the lighter the load becomes. Using a Scratch Disk is like taking some of the load of the video editing and putting it onto a different hard drive. The more hard drives you have, the easier it is for your computer to create your video. So captured video, captured audio. Again, I'm not going to be doing any capturing strictly on the computer, so I'm just going to leave that the same as project. That's fine. The video previews, however, and audio previews, however, I'm going to move to a different location. I'm going to move these onto a folder specific to the computer that I'm working on. Where it says video previews and audio previews, I am going to change that to the hard drive of the computer. I'm going to go to Macintosh hard drive because I'm on my Macintosh right now. And I'm going to choose a temp folder. Here's a temp folder that I've created. This one's called 6temp. Yours might say a different number, but you could probably see a temp folder in there somewhere. I'm going to choose the temp folder, and I'm going to do that for video previews and audio previews. These Scratch Disks are a great way to get more performance out of your computer. If you're working at home and you have multiple hard drives, I highly recommend that you keep one hard drive for your operating system and Adobe software. Use a separate hard drive to store all of your media, your videos, your audio, your photos. And then use a third hard drive just for your scratch discs, your audio and video previews. Even better if those hard drives are SSDs, solid state drives.
The next section here is the project autosave.
The term autosave is kind of misleading. It should really be called auto backing up. If you don't save your work, nothing's going to be saved in the file that you created. However, Adobe automatically creates a backup every so often as you're working and saves it to this file location. That means if you make a mistake or if you accidentally delete something, you can go into this folder and find several different versions of the project that you've created that Adobe has backed up to this location.
So here I have the autosaves saving in the same location as my project. That's good. That's what I want. So I'm going to leave that the same. And then here I have some libraries, downloads, and motion graphics templates. That's fine. I'm going to leave those the same as the project. I'm not going to use a lot of that anyway. And the third tab that we have here is the Ingest Settings.
Ingest Settings are a new feature recently rolled out into Adobe Premiere. Now, you're probably not going to use this feature a whole lot unless you're working with really large video files. So if you have your own camera and you're editing 4K video or video files that are just really enormous, this is a feature that maybe you want to look at. Otherwise, you're probably not going to need it.
So once I do that, I'm going to say OK.
And there's your new project, all ready to go. And that's how you create and set up a new project in Adobe Premiere.